Hello my friends, today we're gonna make a frickin' hard future bounce drop similar to Brooks in FL Studio 20. Let's start by making some nice chords. Now we'll chop them up and create the rhythm for the drop. Now let's create a lead melody on top of the chords. Now my lovely people, we can start on building the drop. We'll start off by making a lead that's hard as f. Let's begin with the serum layer playing the lead melody. Now let's add some more layers to make the lead thicker and more powerful. Now that we have a decent sounding lead, let's make it a lot more powerful with some nice mixing effects. We're gonna try to push it as hard as possible while still sounding clean. Let's start with some distortion using Fruity Fast Dist, then an EQ removing some low frequencies created by the distortion. Compression with OTT, EQ, Soundjadizer, distortion and compression with Camel Crusher, EQ, and lastly a Fruity Stereo Shaper to make the lead a bit wider. This my friends is what the lead sounds like without the mixing effects. And this is with. Now let's add some reverb and control it using this reverb automation. We'll also add a cutoff automation that goes down at the end of the melody. And these synth shots that play the last two notes of the melody. I added these lead shots to fill out the empty spaces where the lead stops playing. Now my friends, let's create a fat bass line. But first, I would truly appreciate it if you subscribed and turned on post notifications. Okay guys, let's start with the serum layer playing the bass line. Now let's add some more layers to make the bass really fat. It's important to add layers that sound different from one another. That way the bass fills out more of the frequency spectrum and as a result becomes fuller and thicker. We're also gonna add this growl sound that plays these notes from the bass line in order to bring some more energy to specific parts of the bass. Now guys, we can begin mixing the bass. We're gonna make it a lot more powerful and crisp. We'll begin with mixing the mid bass. Let's start by adding an EQ removing some unwanted frequencies. Then compression with OTT, Soundjadizer, distortion using Fruity Fast Dist. Then I added an EQ removing some ugly frequencies created by the compression and distortion. Then some more distortion and compression using Camel Crusher. And lastly a couple EQs to clean up the sound a bit. This my friends is what the mid bass sounds like without the mixing effects. And this is with. Now guys, we're gonna quickly mix the sub bass and make it a lot fatter and dirtier. We're gonna take it from this to this. To achieve that, we'll add some distortion, OTT, Soundjadizer, and an EQ removing all of the highs and most of the mids. To add more energy to the bass, I added this huge drop clap that plays the rhythm of the bass line. This is what it sounds like without. And this is with the drop clap. I know it may sound a bit too much, but trust me guys, when played together with the lead it adds a lot of energy to the drop. Let's also add some brass stabs on top of the bass. I added these two brass samples, playing these stab notes. Nice. Now my friends, let's make some nice chords to fill out the drop. We'll start with this synth one layer playing the chords. Let's add a couple more chord layers. Now guys, let's add some nice mixing effects. Since the lead and bass have a lot of sharp and harsh frequencies, we kinda want the chords to have this distorted and airy sound. We'll start by adding an EQ. You will see the pattern of removing these frequencies when we're mixing the chords. These harsh frequencies are actually taken up by the lead, and we don't want the chords to clash with the lead, so they have to go. After that we'll add compression with OTT, then some distortion using Fruity Fast Dist, some EQs to really shape the sound. And lastly I added a Fruity Stereo Shaper to make the chords wider. This is what the chords sound like without the mixing effects. And this is with. This is what the bass elements and chords sound like together. Let's add some harmony chords on top. I just added a simple saw layer playing these notes. Then I added a cutoff automation. Let's also add a chord fill for the end of the drop. The chord fill consists of the bass layers playing these notes and the chord layers playing these chords. I also added this cutoff automation for the chord fill. Now guys and gals, let's quickly add some nice drums and effects. We'll start with a kick and some claps. Then we'll add some percussion. Now let's add some nice ear candy and random effects. Let's also add some impacts. And a ride for the second half of the drop. Alright guys, that was all of the elements of the drop, but before I show you the result, I would sincerely appreciate it if you went and checked out the sample pack. The link is in the description. Alright boys, here we go.
Now my love is gone, running out of sight. Yeah, I keep thinking about you day and night, 'cause it broke my heart when you said goodbye. Yeah, I keep thinking about you day and night. Oh, my love is gone, my love is gone, love is. My love is gone, my love is gone, love is. My love is gone, my love is gone, love is. My love is gone, my love is gone. My love is gone, my love is gone, love is. My love is gone, my love is gone, love is. My love is gone, my love is gone, love is. My love is gone, my love is gone.
If you liked the video, please be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Love you guys.